loudest voice in all of sports across the board. And it'll be interesting to watch this tonight when I go home just to see what's said, because this is a cry that's been going on for 20, 30, 40 plus years. You know, these kids are used for their athletic talents, and coaches are benefiting off it. Universities are benefiting. Look at this young kid.
Look at the feminine step.
I was putting in work. I had one of the highest selling jerseys. I had one of the highest selling Kansas jerseys.
Talk about it.
Did you see $1?
Didn't see anything, man. Listen, I had to borrow a bike to go down to the store. I had to use somebody's cell phone. I had to borrow a car. I needed $20 to go to the movie. I mean, you get a scholarship, yeah, and people say you get your education paid for, but then, you know, you're using so many other facets playing sports. You don't have anything. You know, I come from a family, we didn't have much. I didn't have the extra spending money to go do things that other kids could do. So I truly believe this is an issue that needs to be addressed, and I love that LeBron James is bringing this to light.
Yeah, this is tough, right? Because I'm glad he made it, and I hope it has an impact. But if you ask me, do I think it's going to have impact? I'm going to say no for two reasons. One, the people who are going to watch it are the people who already believe it anyway, right? Mm-hmm. And the people that need to hear that message, they're not listening to it. The other thing is, man, forget documentaries and speeches or whatever. There are real-life things that are happening that aren't changing the NCAA. A kid died at Maryland this year.
Yep.
Have we seen any overhaul of the rules about practice or anything? No. It's business as usual every day. And the reason why is the system isn't the system because people don't know any better and like, oh, I thought it was fine.
Right.
It's the system the way it is because the people in power want to stay in power. The people making money want to keep that money.
Right.
The only way it changes is you have to have, which I think there was a student from Northwestern who tried this a couple of years ago. You got to unionize.
Yep.
That's the only way you can get actual change.
And he actually won one ruling in court allowing him to unionize. But again, it's hard for athletes because they see this as their one shot. They don't want to go against coaches. You know, it's tough. I hear people sometimes say, Paul, what you referred to, like, oh yeah, you get a scholarship. The way this works for these kids is that so much of their time is taken up and demanded by their athletic pursuits that they are not able to follow through on their education the way they would like to in a lot of cases. And by the way, largely, they leave school after a year or two, so they're not getting that degree anyway. A lot of them, because of the demands of the NCAA tournament and then preparing for the draft, don't even get to go to class their second semester, so they're basically getting a scholarship for one semester of school. And so you're basically saying, but I gave you a scholarship. It's sort of like saying, but I handed you a giraffe.
But
and it's like, the giraffe is not what I need in this room right now.
Rachel, you're talking about the elite of the elite. There are guys that are just trying to get by. They don't have the time because they go over on their hour commitments. The NCAA has rules. No one follows them as far as how much time we're supposed to practice
and
all that. You're skipping. Remember Gordon Hayward, I remember he had to have a computer science final in the middle of the Final Four just because it happened to be in Indianapolis. If it had been anywhere else, he would have to skip that final and come back. Everything there is...
It's not set up for kids to go to school. And so don't sit there and say, oh, but we're giving you school, and then rig the system against going to school.
And not only that, but also the rules are made because they didn't want athletes getting like a leg up on over regular students. But what's happened is the opposite. The regular students can go get a job and spending money. They have time and they're allowed to. And the athletes aren't. And so they're actually a lower class citizen when it comes to the freedom to do whatever they want when they're in college.
And Paul notes, people are making plenty of money off them and they don't see any money, and it does have to change. And look, I will say this about this documentary. Sometimes people have heard a message over and over and over again. You see it. You see something, you were affected by someone's story, and that is what finally flips someone over and changes their mind. So maybe this will help. I want to get to Kawhi Leonard because he made his preseason debut for the Raptors this past weekend. The jersey still looks strange. 12 points, 19 minutes of action. Look healthy to you, Amin?
Yeah, I mean, he looked tentative, and it's like you're not going 100%, but that's also that part of it's preseason.
He looked sharp.
But he looked sharp. The very first play of the game, they first play for Toronto on offense. They ran it right to him, threw it to him on the wing, up fake, two dribble, pull up. He looked perfect. Balance everything. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what Toronto's going to do with their lineup. With Kawhi out there, who they're going to put him out there, who's going to be the 4-man, who's going to be the 5-man. We don't know if it's going to be Ibaka or Valanciunas. Toronto's going to be exciting.
Do you think that Kawhi makes them that much better than what DeRozan made them? Really? I mean, I'm trying to figure out in what way. Because
DeRozan is way better.
Defensive Player of the Year, MVP finalist.
Yeah, he is a great defensive player, of course.
Kind of hard to.
But you know, there's team in this. There's team.
Absolutely.
You can have the best defender. Your team be at the bottom of the barrel as far as a defensive team.
True.
You know, and then offensively, is he that much better than DeRozan was?
I think he is.
I'm excited.
I think offense.
DeRozan's coming off 25, 26.
DeRozan's great. It's not a knock on DeRozan. I think Kawhi just has a simplicity to his game that makes him so much better because it doesn't take a lot of dribbles. He gets to his spots, and then he finishes from every single mid-range, three-pointers, in the paint. He gets to the free throw line. He does it all. And to me, that's the big irony of Kawhi Leonard more than any other player in this league. Mm-hmm. He's so good defensively that we underrate his offense. Yeah. He is amazing offensively. Yeah, he's a machine out there. Now, you could say, playing in San Antonio, the system that really played to his strengths, that could be true. But I think we're going to see something special from him.
So I'm just saying, like, they're that much better.
Yeah. And they added Danny Green. That's the other thing.
And I'm sorry,
I don't know.
LeBron left the conference.
Yeah.
So there's that, too. And look, I mean...
Why isn't nobody saying they're the favorite?
Well, I was going to say...
Is he the best player in the Eastern Conference?
Well, funny as you mentioned that. Where's my clipboard?
We talked about that the other day. I mean, Paul, look, I think this is... The Celtics have earned the right to be in the driver's seat in the Eastern Conference this year. But that being said, we now have, I think, what looks like at least a chance of a three-horse race between Toronto, Philly, and Boston. We'll see how the season develops. But that's nice. It has not been a three-horse race in the East for a long time.
If he's healthy, if he's 2016 Kawhi, yes, he's the best player.
Who would be your if it's not Kawhi? Who do you think it would even be?
Come on, Greek Freak.
Okay, that's a great.
Tyrese Irving's still in the conference.
I don't know. Let me take the clipboard.
I mean, Embiid is in the conference.
Embiid definitely Embiid.
You just have to look at both sides of the ball, right? So Embiid obviously tough on both sides of the ball, defensive player of the year candidate.
Giannis.
Kyrie has had his challenges on defense. He's been better in Brad Stevens' system. Giannis obviously is still growing as a player. Has been remarkable, but we want to see what he's going to be this season. I would like to see. We'll see. We'll see how good Kawhi is. Mavs rookie Luka Doncic, not in the running for best player in the East, but boy, he looked good in his debut this weekend. Now I want to say, I mean, this is not the toughest competition.
Oh yes.
But 16
Beijing
points.
Baby.
Did some cool stuff.
It reminds me of Ginobili a lot.
Right?
He got that craftiness to his game.
Now, look, you may remember, and we were just talking about Atlanta and Trae Young, and do you remember that the Hawks drafted Doncic first and then traded Trae Young, tacked on the first rounder also, which is, I mean, it's not just one for one. It's that and a first rounder. Do you think the Hawks are going to regret this trade? What do you think, Paul?
I absolutely do think they're going to regret this. And this is not a knock on Trae Young. I think Trae Young is going to be a fine player. But in today's game, Luka Doncic can play so many different positions now. He can go from the power forward to the wing to the point guard with his passing ability. He can shoot the ball. He's so disciplined. He's so crafty. I mean, I'm watching this kid. He has so many years on these other guys because he's played professional. And he's one of the greatest European players that we've ever seen. So his game translates to today's NBA, and he just has more of an upside, I believe, than Trae Young has as far as position in basketball.
Pick in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, look, Malcolm Delaney had a tweet this week that he deleted. I don't know why. I loved it, though, because what he said was, and I quote, in the tweet that was deleted, sorry, Malcolm, I thought it was a good point. People in America don't understand international basketball, don't know how tough and rare it is to accomplish what Doncic did in Europe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for an 18-year-old leading a team to EuroLeague championship, 18-year-old in America leading a team to a EuroLeague championship and damn sure ain't getting MVP. That's real life. Like, people don't want to admit this. There were high-level college players. I mean, elite college players that go to Europe, they don't have the career that this guy had.
Right, but you have to also, I do want to say, you have to include that the pick went in there too, right? So even if Doncic is better, there was a pick involved.
Rachel, there was a trade once upon a time where the Golden State Warriors...
Hold on. Producer Steve's in my ear saying Hawks got the pick. That's my point. My point is
that's what she's saying.
That's what I'm saying, is that even if it's not a straight one-for-one,
there's two parts,
is better. There's two parts. They also got a pick along with
But Rachel, what I'll tell you is there was a trade a long time ago where the Golden State Warriors received a player named Joe Barry Carroll, who was pretty good. And in return, they sent a player named Robert Parrish and a pick that became a guy named Kevin McHale.
Right.
Look, all that's well and good, like, but you might have sent a Hall of Famer and a pick.
And a pick, right. So here's look, Luka Doncic, every time I say something nice about him on social, because I love watching him, I think he's been so fun, a lot of people come back and say, well, what about Ricky Rubio? We heard great things about him. First of all, Ricky Rubio plays in the NBA. It's not like he's a flop. Second of all, I am okay being excited about Luka Doncic until I am proven wrong. That's fine for me as a position.
Yeah.
I'm good with being like, hey, this guy did great things in the EuroLeague, playing against men, winning MVP. I want to see what he can do. And if he turns out not to be so great, that's okay.
And there's one more part of that.
I'd rather be on this side of the fence.
One more part of it. Ricky Rubio didn't have the career this guy did in Europe. Like, he was nice, but he wasn't like this, and that's what everyone's trying to tell the people who didn't watch him.
I think so many times we've seen the hype over these Europeans come in, and they don't live up to the billing. I mean, I remember back in the, you had guys like T. Scavili. You know, he was like the number 2 or 3 pick. He was like the number 2 or 3 pick, and he didn't live up to the hype. And so, you know, it's make or miss league. Like,
we're going to use that one.
So, I mean, that's why they always get a bad knock, the European players.
But not every guy who grew up in L.A., like you, Paul, is the same player. Not every guy who grew up in Europe is the same player. But then again,
you don't always have those Ginobilis, those Dirk Nowinskis, those Karolinkos, and those Yao Ming, those international players. They come far and few in between. Peja Stojakovic. So we have yet to see.
We'll see. I'm okay. I'm okay being hopeful. I'm okay with that. Before we go to break, though, I want to address some news regarding WNBA President Lisa Borders. She stepped down from her position with the WNBA today, leaving to become CEO of Time's Up. That, of course, is the organization dedicated to improving working conditions and salaries for women. Now, NBA Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum, he's going to fill her role as the league looks for a long-term replacement. And this has been a great season for the WNBA. Their ratings have increased steadily over the last couple of years, really peaked this past summer. The league's innovations oversaw by Borders, such as changes to their playout format. Those have all been super popular. Now, this is important because both the Players Association and the owners can opt out of the current collective bargaining agreement by October 31st. So we are going to have a lot of WNBA news in this next month. If that happens, that would require a new CBA after the 2019 season. Now, Borders spoke about her connection to the players today, saying, quote, without the players, we don't have anything. We don't have fans. We don't have a league. Let's hope the WNBA can find a replacement quickly and someone who lives up to the precedent that Lisa Borders set. She has been phenomenal, and we would, of course, like to avoid a potential lockout for this league that's been on the rise.